Welcome, curious minds, to another exciting journey into how our world works. Today, we're diving into something truly amazing, how computers seem to understand what we say. Alex, you use smart assistants and translation apps, right?
Absolutely, Jamie. Every day. And honestly, it still feels a little bit like magic. I'll ask my phone a question and it just gets it. It answers me, it plays the right music, it even knows when I'm just rambling a bit.
It truly does feel magical, doesn't it? We talk, and the computer responds, almost like it's a person listening carefully. But here's the big secret. Those computers don't actually understand our words in the same way you or I do.
Wait, hold on. Seriously? Not at all? But if it doesn't understand, then how does it know what "play my favorite song" means? How does it translate from one language to another? It seems to grasp the meaning perfectly.
That's a fantastic question, and it's at the very heart of what we call natural language processing, or NLP for short. Think of it like this. Imagine a brilliant, incredibly skilled chef who can create any dish you ask for. They can make a fluffy omelet, a spicy curry, a delicate pastry, anything.
Okay, I'm picturing this super chef. Smells delicious already.
Now, this chef knows exactly which ingredients to combine, how much of each, and in what order to create a perfect dish. They can follow any recipe flawlessly. But here's the twist. This chef has never actually tasted any food. They don't know what sweet feels like on the tongue or the warmth of spicy.
That's bizarre. How can you be a master chef if you've never tasted anything? Isn't tasting fundamental to understanding food?
For us, yes, but for our analogy chef and for computers, not necessarily. Our chef has learned by studying millions upon millions of recipes. They've seen how flour plus water and yeast consistently combine to make bread dough. They've observed that sugar, cocoa, and butter usually leads to a chocolate dessert. They've learned the patterns.
So they're not experiencing the food, but they're incredibly good at knowing what goes with what to get a specific result. Like, if I combine these three things, I get this fourth thing.
Exactly. And that, in a nutshell, is how a computer processes our language. It doesn't feel the emotion behind your words or understand the concept of hunger in the way we do when our tummy rumbles. Instead, it's like our super chef looking for patterns and relationships in the recipes of human conversation.
So our words aren't just words to a computer. They're like ingredients in a very complex recipe.
Precisely. Every sentence we speak, every phrase we type, every book ever written, these are all like ingredients and completed dishes in a colossal cookbook for the computer. And the process of natural language processing is how the computer learns to read that cookbook, find the patterns, and then create its own dishes, its own responses.
That makes so much more sense. It's not about magic, it's about a very, very sophisticated way of connecting dots. But how does the computer build this cookbook of patterns? Does someone sit there and explain every single word and what it means?
Not at all. That would be an impossible task, wouldn't it? Imagine trying to explain every nuance of every word to a machine. Instead, the computer learns through a process that has several key steps, much like how our chef learned from their endless pile of recipes. Let's break it down. The first step is what we call data collection, but in our chef analogy, it's like gathering all the recipes in the world. Imagine our master chef wants to learn about every possible dish. They'd collect cookbooks from every culture, handwritten family recipes, food blogs, restaurant menus, even just notes jotted down by home cooks.
So, just massive amounts of information about food.
Exactly. For a computer trying to learn our language, gathering recipes means collecting an immense amount of human language. This includes billions of sentences from books, articles, websites, conversations, social media posts, transcripts of speeches. Essentially, every piece of written and spoken language it can get its digital hands on.
Wow, that's a lot of reading. So it's just ingesting everything we've ever said or written?
Pretty much. Think about how a human child learns to speak. They're surrounded by language, hearing countless sentences, observing how adults respond, learning through imitation and correction. A computer needs a similar but far grander exposure to language to even begin to find patterns. Once our chef has collected all these recipes, the next step is what we call pattern recognition, or in our analogy, finding the flavor combinations and cooking rules. Our chef doesn't just read the recipes, they study them. They notice that salt often appears with pepper, or that onion and garlic are frequently the starting point for many savory dishes.
So they're looking for common pairings? Things that usually go together.
Precisely. They start to build a mental map of relationships. If I see flour and sugar and eggs, it's probably a dessert recipe. If I see broth and vegetables and meat, it's probably a soup. They don't understand the taste, but they recognize the reliable connections between ingredients and the type of dish they produce.
And how does that translate to language? What are the ingredients and dishes for a computer?
For a computer, the ingredients are words and phrases. The dishes are the meanings or intentions behind those words. So the computer sees millions of sentences like, I am hungry, I want to eat, could I please have some food?
And what patterns does it find there?
It learns that hungry, eat, and food often appear together when someone is expressing a desire for sustenance. It recognizes that phrases starting with could I please or I would like to are usually requests. It connects the word I to the person speaking or typing.
So it's building up a giant network of connections. This word often follows that word. This phrase usually signals this intention.
Exactly. It's like building a massive, intricate map where every word is a city, and the lines connecting them are the relationships. The stronger the relationship, the thicker the line. When it sees I'm hungry, it immediately lights up the hunger part of its map, which is strongly connected to food and request for food. It doesn't feel hunger, but it knows the common response or category for that expression.
After our chef has studied countless recipes and found all these patterns, the third step is making a prediction or generating a response. This is when you ask the computer a question and it tries to cook up the right answer.
So I say, what's the weather like today? And the computer uses its learned patterns to give me the forecast.
Yes. When you say, what's the weather like today? The computer doesn't understand the complex meteorological phenomenon. Instead, it breaks down your sentence into its learned patterns. It recognizes what's as a question indicator, weather as a topic, and today as a time frame.
Like the chef hearing, I'd like something sweet for dessert.
Perfect analogy. The chef doesn't understand the craving for sweetness, but based on countless recipes, they know that sweet often means cake, pie, ice cream, or cookies. They then look for other ingredients in your request. If you also said something fruity, they might narrow it down to apple pie or berry crumble. So, the computer takes my words, matches them to the closest patterns it has in its giant recipe book of language, and then chooses the best response recipe to follow?
Precisely. It's constantly calculating the most likely, most appropriate response based on all the patterns it has observed. If you ask a question about weather, it doesn't try to tell you a joke. It goes to its weather-related patterns and finds the best way to assemble a relevant answer, drawing on actual weather data.
That's incredibly clever. It's like it's fluent in the structure of conversation, even if it doesn't grasp the underlying human experience.
And this brings us to the final crucial step, continuous improvement, or for our chef, refining the palate and adding new recipes. Our master chef doesn't just stop learning. Every new request, every piece of feedback, every new cooking show, it all adds to their knowledge.
So if a customer says, this curry is a bit too spicy, the chef adjusts next time?
Exactly. And the computer does the same. Every time you interact with a smart assistant, every time a translation is used, every time a search query is entered, the computer gets a little bit more data. It learns what responses were helpful, what translations were accurate, and which patterns led to a successful interaction.
So it's not a static recipe book, it's constantly being updated and expanded.
Yes, it's always growing, always refining its patterns. If a particular way of phrasing a question consistently leads to a wrong answer, the computer will eventually learn to adjust its interpretation of that phrasing. It's like the chef realizing that adding just a pinch more of a certain spice makes a dish universally loved.
So the more we use these systems, the better they get at understanding us. It's like we're all helping train them in a way.
You got it! Every interaction is a tiny lesson for the computer. It's how these systems become more intuitive, more accurate, and frankly more impressive over time. They are constantly being fed new recipes of language and getting feedback on how well their dishes were received.
This really pulls back the curtain on the magic. It's not a computer suddenly thinking like a human, but rather a computer that's become an unparalleled expert at recognizing patterns in language. Almost like a super linguist that's memorized every language rule and exception without ever experiencing what language feels like.
Precisely. From translating complex documents to helping us write emails, from powering smart assistants to summarizing long articles, natural language processing is all about teaching computers to skillfully navigate the vast, intricate world of human communication through patterns, examples, and continuous learning. It's a testament to the power of observation and careful construction.
This has been incredibly insightful, Jamie. It completely reshapes how I think about my interactions with technology. It's not about them becoming human, but about them becoming exceptionally good at mimicking human understanding through clever design and an ocean of data.
Exactly. It's about bridging the gap between human language and computer logic, not by making computers feel, but by making them incredibly adept at finding meaning in the patterns we create every time we speak or write.
Amazing! Thank you for clearing that up.
It was my pleasure, Alex, and thanks to all of you, our curious minds, for joining us. Keep observing the patterns in your world.
And keep asking those great questions.
Until next time, keep exploring.
Goodbye, everyone.